Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Get back to bed. Your side's getting cold while I stay warm.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Hallelujah of the Ordinary, and it is from the upcoming album from the duo The Rough and Tumble, Hymns for My Atheist Sister and Her Friends to Sing Along To, which you can stream or purchase wherever you get your music starting on November 24th, 2024. For more information about the duo, be sure to head to their website at theroughandtumble.com, and also be sure to check them out on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as The Rough and Tumble.
The ordinary. We know what they know.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to this week's Miscellaneous Monday edition of the Mountaineer Podcast, where we cover various topics from all across the Peak to Peak area. If you guys went to the Nederland Community Center's Thanksgiving potluck yesterday, Sunday, November 16th, 2024, then we hope you enjoyed yourselves and had some great food. Maybe you even brought some great food yourself. Our correspondent, Maryann Rosen, will be bringing you a segment centered on Thanksgiving. First, she'll talk about history and what it means, and then she'll segue into the history of Thanksgiving specifically. Before we get into that segment, though, I wanted to promote this week's movie at the Backdoor Theater, which is Conclave, rated PG. Somehow, based on the premise, I have no idea how. Here is the log line from the distributor and production company Focus Features. Cardinal Lawrence is tasked with running a covert process after the unexpected death of the beloved Pope. Once the Catholic Church's most powerful leaders have gathered from around the world and are locked together in the Vatican halls, Lawrence uncovers a trail of deep secrets left in the dead Pope's wake. Secrets which could shake the foundations of the Church. If you want to see this thriller this weekend at the Backdoor Theater, then be sure to head over to the Nederland Community Center, located at 750 North Highway 72 in Nederland, on Friday, November 22nd, starting at 7 p.m., on Saturday, November 23rd, starting at 2 p.m. for an open caption matinee, or on Saturday, November 23rd, starting at 7 p.m. for a great time at the movies. Now that announcement's out of the way, let's bring in Maryann Rosen for this week's special segment. Take it away!
This is the Mountaineer Podcast, and I'm Maryann Rosen, bringing you history, lore, or stories from or about the mountains you live in. The word history is always used in the introduction to my stories that I share. But what is history? The word itself is derived from two Greek words, histor, meaning learned and wise, and historia, meaning inquiry as the art of seeking knowledge, or a narrative or account of. Current definitions? Well, there are a few. Simplistically, it is the branch of knowledge dealing with past events. It is the study of past occurrences, particularly in human affairs. It is also the whole series of past occasions connected with someone or something. History is also a continuous chronological record of important or public events or of a particular trend or institution. On a deeper level, history is an inquiry into what happened in the past, when it happened, where it happened, how it happened, and why. It is an exploration into the inevitable changes in human affairs in the past and the ways in which those changes affect, influence, or determine the patterns of life in our own society. History is, or should be, an attempt to relook at the past. It is a way to look at the bygone era in relation to present developments and future hopes. It is the story of humans in time, a probe into the past based on evidence. Indeed, evidence is the raw material of teaching history, a fact often forgotten. History aims at helping us to understand present existing social, political, religious, and economic conditions of the people. The question is often asked, how does one do all of this if the tendency is to reinvent, create false narratives, or lie about history? Is it helpful to push aside history in order to make things appear different or better? Why, over hundreds of years, do humans feel the need to doctor, exaggerate, change, or omit history? How do we learn from our past mistakes, or go forward with all that is good? In learning about history, we have a better understanding of how we got to where we are. Although history is considered one of the arts, it is also considered one of the sciences based on evidence. Unfortunately, humans throughout time seem to forget that fact. Evidence sometimes gets blocked as humans decide what is taught, what we read, what is pushed forward. And this is not political. It is something that has been going on for thousands of years. A quote attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte actually says that history is a set of lies agreed upon. And another one ascribed to Mark Twain states that history is written as merely fluid prejudice. Both viewpoints are very unfortunate. Winston Churchill declared both that history is too often written by the victors and that history would be kind to him because he intended to write what that history would be. Then there is the most common quote, which we have all heard. Credited to George Santayana, it asserts that those who do not remember the correct past are condemned to repeat it, and in that same vein, Maya Angelou voiced this, end quote. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again, end quote. It seems we as humans should be honest in remembering. We should remember the past as it was so that we do learn. History is never simple. It is complex and nuanced. Aldous Huxley was also concerned with history becoming propaganda, and he once said that the most important lesson of history seems to be that, unfortunately, we do not learn much from its lessons. Considering this story about history, and with Thanksgiving coming up, perhaps it is once again a good time to understand how and why we actually celebrate this holiday. The whole story, even its dark side. The day has evolved over time, and today we have wonderful traditions of celebrating with family and friends, eating amazing food, being grateful and thankful for what we have. A truly incredible way to spend a day, perhaps watching football, going for a walk with family and friends. Whatever we do, it is just a very nice day. Knowing the true history of the day and how it came to fruition does not change that part. But perhaps we should take a moment to honor and understand the past and how it affected those who have come before us so that we get the full picture of where we are today. A year ago, after much research and reading, I wrote and recorded a historical account of the Thanksgiving holiday for the Mountain Ear podcast. After additional reading and research, I don't think I could improve upon it, So here it is again, an annual reminder of how Thanksgiving came to be, and a reminder that although this mostly happened back in New England or Washington, D.C., or because of the Civil War, you will note that it spread west. As our country moved forward and built on these events, Colorado and thus the Peak-to-Peak region were influenced as well by the past. Westward expansion, the thirst for more land, Manifest Destiny, the Homestead Act, the discovery of gold were all launched by the establishment of the United States, the Civil War, and the actions of our past. Before we get to the Thanksgiving story, however, here is a quick reminder of some upcoming events. Don't forget that Small Business Saturday is coming up on November 30th. Please check out all of the wonderful local businesses in the Peak-to-Peak area. On December 7th, look for details in the Mountain Ear or online about two events, the Tommy Knocker Holiday Bazaar and the Paranormal Investigation at the Teller House. Now, for one additional quick message before we return to our story.
Friends, the November 28th edition goes to press early. If you have advertising, stories, photos, or other content to submit, it is due by 5 p.m. on Friday, November 22nd. Email info@themountainear.com for more details.
Have you submitted your Pet of the Year yet? Here's the info on how to submit. There are a ton of fabulous prizes from our sponsors: Pickled Watermelon Rinds, Mama Rue's, Mountain Man Outdoor Store, Brightwood Music, Netherland Feed and Pet, and Peak Wine and Spirits. The contest is open to all subscribers of The Mountaineer, and the deadline to enter is Wednesday, November 20th at 5 p.m. Check out our website for more information.
And we are back with our Thanksgiving story. Hope that you enjoy. A feast, often including turkey, stuffing, potatoes, cranberries, and pumpkin pie. A time for gathering together with friends and family. A day that for many includes football. An occasion when we give thanks and recognize blessings from the past year. A moment to celebrate the harvest and abundance. The secular holiday of Thanksgiving in current times. As far back as the 18th century, people have been observing days of Thanksgiving mostly for military victories. And English people, including the Pilgrims and Puritans, for years had Thanksgivings which included fasting and praying. In 1846, a New Hampshire woman, Sarah Josepha Hale, who wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb, advocated for women's education, created Vassar College, and had been commemorating her own annual days of thanks, campaigned for a national day of Thanksgiving. She cited tensions between the North and South pre-Civil War as a good reason. Her efforts resulted in 30 states and territories climbing on board by 1854, though no National Day of Thanks happened. It was 1863 when President Abraham Lincoln created the holiday. It was seen as a way to improve relations between the North and South, now in the middle of the Civil War, and between the United States and Native Americans, as just 1 year prior, the Dakota Sioux were pushed to the brink of starvation and fought back, resulting in the execution of 38 members of the Native Nation. Lincoln thought that the Thanksgiving holiday would offer an opportunity to bridge hard feelings. He was trying to build an event that would have a deeper narrative about community building and a coming together of peoples in shared brotherhood and unity, a day to give thanks. But how did all of this become entangled with the story of the supposed first Thanksgiving? To understand this aspect, we need to go back 6 years before the Mayflower landed in Massachusetts. At the time, the land was occupied by the Native American tribes, the Wampanoags and the Narragansett, who actually competed for hunting and fishing grounds and were at odds with each other from time to time. One of the native villages, Patuxet, was the home to some Wampanoags and to a native tribe member, Tisquantum. In textbooks, he is often referred to as Squanto, a native who welcomed the Pilgrims. At this time, ships from European countries fished off of the Massachusetts coast and would come ashore for fresh water, firewood, and to capture slaves. Tisquantum was taken as a slave during one of these onshore outings. He was taken to Europe, but with the help of the Catholic Church, he escaped and fled to England, where he learned to speak the language. He returned to Massachusetts in 1619, where he found that his people in the village of Pawtucket had been decimated by a plague. The Wampanoag Nation had lost about 75% of its people. The Narragansett, however, were luckier. In 1621, the Pilgrims landed in Massachusetts. After coming ashore several times over a 6-week period, Provincetown and Eastham on Cape Cod being two of those locations, they finally landed in what is now Plymouth and created a village on the former site of Pawtucket, calling it Plymouth Plantation. The leader of what was left of the Wampanoag Nation, Massasoit, saw the Pilgrims as possible allies against the rival Narragansett Nation. Because Tisquantum could speak English, Massasoit held him prisoner in order to convince him to help with the Pilgrims. Rather than continue to live a life of servitude, Tisquantum established himself as a resource to the Pilgrims, welcoming them and helping them to survive. The Wampanoags made a treaty based on the understanding that the tribe would look out for the Pilgrims, while the Pilgrims would side with the Wampanoag against their enemies. When the Pilgrims survived their first year and first harvest, they decided to have a feast. They supposedly shot their weapons in the air in celebration, causing Wampanoag warriors to band together as they thought an attack was imminent. However, when they reached the Pilgrims, they saw it was a harvest feast. The Pilgrims invited them to stay. This gathering was not planned, and it would have consisted of only men. Unfortunately, this goodwill only lasted one generation, and the Native Americans' support was paid back by years of a slow unfolding time of being killed, their land being taken away, and treaties broken. In later years, this unplanned 1621 feast was used for self-serving purposes. In 1769, Pilgrim descendants still living in Plymouth felt their authority lessening. They also wanted to attract more like-minded people to come and settle. They began planting seeds that the Pilgrims were the fathers of America, and an article by Reverend Alexander Young mentioned that the meal between Pilgrims and Native Americans in 1621 was the first Thanksgiving and was the Great Feast of New England. This myth gained traction in the 19th century when anxiety over immigration took hold. While Protestants, unhappy with the influx of European Catholics and Jews, wanted to assert their authority over the newcomers. What better way than to propagate the myth that the Pilgrims and Native Americans were always friends and that the indigenous people had invited them to take over the land? This was happening at the same time that Lincoln was creating Thanksgiving. This newer version of the Plymouth and First Thanksgiving story became forever intertwined with the new holiday. Thanksgiving was depicted as a huge feast with men, women, and children, which was not accurate. It showed Pilgrims and Native Americans dressed in clothing not historically real, eating foods most probably not served at that harvest feast, and using a narrative that actually did not exist. Over the years, the holiday has ventured away from being about that mythical first Thanksgiving and has become more about a day of thanks, gratitude, family, friends, food, and football, although some of the old images and symbols are still incorporated at times. And how do Native Americans feel about Thanksgiving? Well, I can't speak for them. However, in research and reading, it seems that many Native Americans have festivals and special meals of gratitude for bountiful harvests and to reflect on the past year and the past. They gather with loved ones without referencing Thanksgiving or acknowledging the Pilgrims or the Mayflower because it holds up a false moment of friendship and totally disregards what happened to Native peoples in the years following their arrivals. It is also a time of grief. In Massachusetts, many Native Americans gather at Coles Hill near Plymouth Rock to remember the past 400-plus years through a national day of mourning. After being invited to speak on behalf of the Wampanoags in 1970, but then uninvited when they caught wind of what he was going to speak about, Wamsutta James did make a statement saying, quote, "This action by Massasoit was perhaps our biggest mistake. We, the Wampanoags, welcomed you, the white men, with open arms, little knowing that it was the beginning of our end." End quote. And thus began the annual day of mourning. In 2009, the day following Thanksgiving was established as Native American Heritage Day, a day to honor Native American contributions to the United States, to honor Native people with appropriate ceremonies, and to enhance students' understanding of Native Americans and history. The latter interesting since most Massachusetts students take field trips to Plymouth Plantation and hear more of the truth, yet a lot of the myth remains in the actual curriculum. There are also critics that believe it is in poor taste for Native American Heritage Day to be on Black Friday, a day seen as one of excess, greed, and aggressive capitalism. So, on Thanksgiving Day, gather with family and friends, feast, give thanks, feel gratitude, and enjoy the day. All great things. But also, take a moment to think about the actual history of the day. So at this time, whatever is beautiful, whatever is meaningful, whatever brings thanks and gratitude, whatever brings kindness, whatever brings peace, whatever brings love, whatever brings understanding, whatever brings happiness, and whatever brings an end to hatred. May it all be yours this holiday season and throughout the year, wishing you all a harvest of blessings, good health, and better and happy times. Listen in next time to the Mountain Ear Podcast for more mountain history, lore, or stories. I'm Maryann Rosen. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much to Maryann for bringing us another great segment this week. As usual, she'll be back in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com or scroll down to the bottom of our website's homepage, the mtnear.com. Also, be sure to reach out to us at media@themountaineer.com if you want to be involved in the podcast in any way, shape, or form. Whether you've got a story that you want to tell us, whether you've got an interview you want to conduct, whether you've got advertising that you want to share with us, whatever it is, if you want us to put it on the podcast, email me at media@themountaineer.com and we'll get something sorted for you. Before we go, I've got some more important messages brought to you by the Mountaineer.
Are you interested in advertising? The Mountaineer has advertising in print, on our website, through our social media. We have 3 guides each year, coupon insertions, and more. Want more information? Email marketing@themountaineer.com or give Bethany a call at 720-960-2900. At The Mountaineer, we have been working hard on our new website. The new site is up, and through November it is completely free to check out. That's located at www.themountaineer.com.
I will see you guys on Friday with our regular Music of the Mountains segment. Have a great rest of your day.
Pick your son, pick your daughter, pick your long estranged father, pick your mother and her brother and your sister too. Pick your neighbor, pick your neighbor's neighbor, pick their next door neighbor, hell, pick a stranger, pick that troll on the internet who has never met you.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Love Them Too, and it is from the upcoming album From the Rough and Tumble, Hymns for My Atheist Sister and Her Friends to Sing Along to. You can stream and purchase this album wherever you get your music starting on November 24th, 2024. So be sure to keep an eye out everywhere to find this album and listen to it yourself. Also be sure to learn more about The Rough and Tumble by going to their website at theroughandtumble.com and by heading to their Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as The Rough and Tumble.
Introduce the poor to the rich, find someone you don't understand cause you thought they were a woman. Now they're telling you they're a man, and love them too. Love them too.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.